Well, welcome to Chaos to Clarity. I'm meteorologist Bernie Rayno. Update on what is going to be a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. And I must say, I really haven't changed much of my thought process here, except, we were worried about wind shear that could knock this system or prevent this from becoming a hurricane. We're no longer worried about that. Although the seeds for that, of not worrying about a wind shear not allowing this to become a hurricane kind of went out the window with our last recording on Friday. I want to give you an update. Let's give you a little timeline of what we're looking at here as we move forward. So, strengthening into a storm, we think that's going to happen, especially as we get into Monday night, more likely on Tuesday. This is going to rapidly intensify into a major hurricane into the Gulf of Mexico. Landfall is a hurricane, and we are forecasting a major hurricane at landfall along the central Gulf Coast states. This is going to be Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. I'll show you the area. This is what the system looks like right now. We're starting to get a center of circulation around 18 degrees north and 82 degrees west. That's kind of where we're seeing the center of location. On the infrared satellite picture, though, you can clearly see just a growing area of showers and thunderstorms. This is what we're looking at here. You'll also notice a couple of things. We do have a little wind shear here along the northwest Caribbean, although that will be going away. And you could also see the movement of the clouds in generally this direction to the north-northwest. So it's going to be moving into the northwest Caribbean tonight into tomorrow morning. Want to show you the eye path associated with this. Sorry, I clicked ahead here. So this is our eye path as we move forward here. So we are projecting this to be a tropical storm by tomorrow night, if not tomorrow afternoon, in the northwest Caribbean. So nothing has changed with that. And then a hurricane in the southern part of the Gulf of Mexico as we get into our Wednesday here. So I want to talk about the ingredients for this storm. Now, we think this is going to rapidly intensify. If it does not, what would stop it? Earlier last week, we were worried about wind shear. Maybe there would be too much wind shear. Wind shear is not going to be a problem. There's going to be light wind shear. I'll show you that in a second. However, there could be one limiting factor that we have to keep an eye on, and I think we'll know more about this tomorrow. Dry air. There is a ton of dry air right now in the Gulf of Mexico. Here it is. I mean, you can clearly see it. Look at all of this dry air. Now, that's where this system is heading, although it's not heading there for another, let's say, 24 to 36 hours. I will say that what I think is going to happen is as this area continues to form, it's going to create what we call its own marsupial pouch, or an area where we have enough moisture that it lives and thrives and strengthens. I think that's what's going to happen with this as it moves northward. But if we get this, if this does not develop as quickly as we think, it would be because of all this dry air. Again, a lot of the modeling and tools say that this is going to mix out and not be a concern. However, I would watch this. Let's see what it looks like tomorrow before this system gets into the Gulf of Mexico, let's say tomorrow night. Certainly the one thing that we've been following is the amount of warm water. I mean, you need about 80-degree temperature for development here. Let me put this on full again so you can see it. So you need water temperatures around 80 degrees. I mean, they're in the middle 80s. Not only is the water warm, but there is deep warm water. That is, the warm water goes to a very large depth of the Gulf of Mexico. We call this product the ocean heat context. I won't get into the number that you're seeing here, but suffice it to say that there's an area in here where this storm is going to be going. It's not a storm yet, but it will be, where not only is the water warm, but it goes to a large depth of the Gulf of Mexico. And we know this: if you don't have wind shear and you have enough moisture and you get a system going over this kind of warm water and ocean heat content, only one thing happens: it rapidly intensifies. And that's what we're forecasting with this system. Again, The only thing I see stopping this is the dry air. If there's no more dry air that mixes out, then I think this is going to rapidly intensify, because I'll tell you what, let me show you the wind shear. I don't see much wind shear. Let's go to the 200 millibar. We like doing that. What are we looking at here? This is tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning. This is when the system is moving into the Gulf of Mexico. What do I see? A big upper level high in here. Now, the system may be influenced by this southerly wind shear, although I think all the wind shear is way up here across the southeast. But keep in mind, even if there is southerly wind shear, it's relatively light, and it's going to be at the back or moving with the storm. That is a lot different than if it was moving, let's say, against it. Think about it this way. If you're taking a walk this evening and there's a little wind, if you're walking with the wind, that is, the wind is at your back, you easily move with it. But if the wind is coming at you, a headwind, or it's coming right at you, that's detrimental to development here. So when it's going with, if it's moving in the same direction that the storm is moving, it is less detrimental, and oftentimes you can get ventilation and rapid intensification. So that's what I think is going to happen here. All right, let me put this on full again so you can clearly see it. And again, let's go to Thursday morning. What do we see? And then I'll show you the wind shear product. So this is 200 millibar. I just see light winds in here. I just see here's your wind shear. It's way in here. It's way in here. And there's this little pocket where there's low wind shear. All right. And 2 o'clock, let's go to 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday. Again, relatively low wind shear. Now, when you look at the wind shear product, this is a little more. You can see, again, let's go to Wednesday afternoon. Here's the system tucked in here. You see a lot of blue, low wind shear. What wind shear we have is way up here. And as we play this forward, watch how this wind shear area starts lifting north. You see lifting north and west. And what's happening is your upper low, which is back out in here, is helping to ventilate this system. That's the concern. So there's low wind shear in here as it makes landfall Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. So when you look at all of the ingredients coming together here, this is what we're looking at as far as the ingredients are concerned. So we have, let me put this on its latest here. You have lowering wind shear. You have, this is really the big thing, water temperatures in the middle 80s with high values of ocean heat content, that deep warm water. You have lessening wind shear. And again, you have dry weather, dry air in the Gulf of Mexico, but we think that's going to be mixed out. So that's why we think this is going to rapidly intensify. You can see why we think that right now. Now, let's talk about where we think this is going. And this is where it does get a little tricky. It all depends on this upper low and where it forms and where it is exactly located. That will dictate where this is going. I'm already telling you now, I'm issuing a windshield wiper warning. What does a windshield wiper mean? Too many people and meteorologists, I'm sad to say, and I've been caught by this as well, react to the models. And the models are going to do this. They're going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick with our forecast. Now, right now the modeling has come east. I do think, and I'm doing this here on Monday, September 23rd, I think the models are going to shift farther west. Look for a shift farther west, back toward Apalachicola or even a little farther west, maybe toward Panama City Beach. I'd worry about that. All right. And then it may come east a little bit. This is what happens with the modeling. I want to show you what the key is for the movement. Here's our modeling. I'm going to put this full. This is the European model. This is the European model. And I can show you, here's our dip in the jet stream. This is what's going to steer it. Now, let's play this forward and then we'll compare it. There's the European model. And again, the European model, very similar now to the American model. That is a landfall near the Big Bend. You see that? There's the American model, also toward the Big Bend, and then the Canadian model a little farther west toward Apalachicola. My concern is this, on both the European and the American model, that your trough is pretty far west. Let's take a look at this again. This is Wednesday morning. Your trough, I'm trying to get this right. This is Thursday morning. you're dipping the jet streams pretty far west. My contention is this, that instead of going this way, it's going to go toward the trough and then hook. That's my concern. Now, a lot of the guidance does not show that. It is showing a Big Bend hit, but I'm telling you right now, that's what I would be concerned with. Everything going toward the Big Bend, I do believe, and we'll see if I'm right, that there will be a shifting of guidance farther west in the next 24 hours, that instead of it going here, the models take it back toward here. I can absolutely see that. I would be concerned about that. So all of this depends on this. The farther west this upper low is, the farther west this goes. The farther east it goes. It's really that simple, but exactly where this sets up will dictate where landfall is going to be. So what I want to do is I want to show you our window of movement really quick. And there we have it. Now, you'll notice the possibilities here. And again, we did this on purpose because you have to realize we still don't have a center of circulation, or the modeling doesn't know where that is either. Any shift east or west will totally change the entire IPAP. That's why we're going to keep this area. From the Mississippi, we're going to go as far west as the Mississippi coast and as far east as south of Tampa. Do I think it's going to be this far west and this far east? I do not. However, I've been doing this long enough to know you've got to keep your options open this far out, and I don't want to make massive changes with every model run. I'm going to say what I said yesterday, and those that follow me on Twitter and even on this video on Friday. Here's the area where I think the zone has to be. Panama City toward the Big Bend of Florida. That's where I think ultimately this storm will make a landfall. And you notice we're going a major hurricane. That's Category 3. That's maximum sustained winds of at least 111 miles per hour. Oh, let me put this. You didn't see where I'm. This is the area from Panama City Beach toward the Big Bend of Florida. Pensacola to the Big Bend of Florida. I think ultimately it's somewhere in here that this makes landfall Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. Okay? So again, we're going to keep this. Right now, to be on the safe side, I'm kind of zoning in on this area, all right? Big Bend toward Pensacola right now. I think while the models are shifting it this way, I bet you they're going to go farther west, then they're going to come farther east. This is called the windshield wiper effect. Don't get strayed by the models that go back and forth. All right, we're going to stick with this for now. We have it near Apalachicola. I think anywhere between Pensacola and the Big Bend of Florida is ultimately where we're going to be looking at landfall. There will be a life-threatening storm surge in the right front quadrant of this storm. And I do have some rain totals here just to give you an idea of what we're looking at here. So, we're going to have a solid area of at least 4 to 8 inches of rain. And again, the heavy rain is going to go inland with this storm. We could have flooding in Appalachia, in the Appalachians. It all depends on exactly, does it go this way? Does it come this way? But someone's going to get a lot of heavy rain with this. And of course, the wind will all be dependent on the strength when it makes landfall. But there's going to be some destructive winds with this as well. All right, so there's our wind, and those dashed lines, like we had for the rain, we have for the wind, is the onset of the precipitation and the tropical storm force winds, 40 miles per hour. That's where you have those dashed lines. I'm going to leave you with this. This is our iPath. Major hurricane status, we have that Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, and again, while we have the window open, I'm really zoning in on this area from Pensacola to the Big Bend of Florida. I think ultimately this is where we have landfall upcoming on Thursday. All right. If you have any questions or comments, you can follow me on Twitter. I do read the comments. I do appreciate them. And in fact, there were a lot of comments that some people thought the graphics were too technical. So based on that, I made more simple graphics with just a sprinkling of some model graphics as well. I hope this makes sense. If you like what you saw, you can contact me on Twitter, formerly Twitter. I'm at AccuReno.